Right now, President Biden is meeting with NATO leaders on the final day of the alliance's summit in Washington, D.C. The United States and its NATO allies have agreed Ukraine should have an irreversible path to membership, but did not lay out a timeline for membership. But looming over much of the meetings is the possibility that Donald Trump could very well be elected to serve another term as president, and what that could mean for NATO. The final day of the NATO summit coincides with the release of a new Biden campaign ad slamming Trump for cozying up to Vladimir Putin and undermining democracies across the globe. With us now is Richard Haass, President Emeritus of the Council on Foreign Relations. Richard, always great seeing you. How do you think NATO leaders are dealing with preparing possibly for a Trump return to the White House?
Well, in some ways, it's difficult. They don't have control over it. You can't really Trump-proof NATO, short of pulling the United States out, which he wouldn't do. He could reduce troop levels. He could add conditionality about our commitment. He could put a much greater focus on other regions of the world. And there's nothing Europeans can do to prevent that. What they really need to focus on, Jose, is what they can do should something like that happen. That means putting greater effort into defense, much more European-wide collaboration, build up their defense industries. I think they need to prepare, Trump or not, for a future in which the United States does less than Europe, either because we become more isolationist or more focused on Asia and China.
Yeah, I mean, and to think just in the last couple of years since President Biden has been in the White House, NATO has been strengthened in so many ways. I mean, Finland and Sweden becoming part of NATO, that's just an extraordinary thing that happened. And I'm just thinking, Richard, 75 years since the founding of NATO being commemorated, today in Washington, D.C., 80 years since D-Day in Normandy. As George Santayana once said, those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it. Are we not learning from history, Richard?
I wish we studied it more. We might learn more from it as a result. But look, you have a new generation in many cases. When you talk about World War II, you might as well be talking about the Peloponnesian War for many people. Also, a lot of countries have real domestic challenges. And even though I would disagree with it, a lot of them think the money they're spending on foreign policy and the like ought to be spent at home. So you're seeing an inward lookingness in the United States, in France, in Germany. So despite the Russian aggression in Europe, despite the rise of China, you're seeing a real mismatch, Jose, between what's going on out there and the reactions of many of the Western democracies.
Yeah, and also NBC News has learned that Hungarian leader Viktor Orban will be meeting with Donald Trump this evening. This meeting follows Orban's meeting with Putin and Xi Jinping. What do you make of this?
It ain't an accident. It's not a coincidence. Look, Orban has become a kind of lodestar, almost an alternative, both domestically, what a lot of people call illiberal democracies, and his foreign policy, much closer to authoritarians like Putin. And if that sounds like Trump, it's because it is. And a lot of Trump's base sees Orban, again, as a kind of model for what a Trump-led United States would do at home and abroad. So I think the fact that he's meeting with Orban is totally consistent with the essence of what will be his platform and if he were to win his presidency.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.